Sure. Yeah, I'm Tommy G. I'm the Hockeytown Hypnotist. I work a lot with athletes, with people in setting their minds in the right frame so that they can put the right amount of focus into what they're doing. And I talk a lot about athletes and working with them on getting into flow states and working through injuries and pain, recovery, and recovering from failure and things like that.
Right.
And those same principles work for everybody. They don't just work for athletes. It's, you think about your frame of mind, it influences every single piece of your life. So that's my specialty is working with the mind as a hypnotist.
Amazing. So with that busy career and also busy home, how do how has that shaped your mindset in approaching the wellness and also just raising your family?
It's done a lot. It's forced me. I'm very much the kind of person who I just do things, right? I don't ask for help as often as I should. I just kind of jump in and off I go. I'm gonna handle the dishes. I'm gonna handle the cooking. I'm gonna handle the cleaning. What it just needs to be done, I'm gonna do it. And it's forced me doing all of this and having all these kids and my wife needing help and all of that. It's forced me to slow down
Okay.
to then be able to speed up. It's forced me to think about how I'm training the kids, right? How am I having them be involved in the daily things that not just their own chores, but the things that I need done too, in order to make this a success. So things from, hey, I'm normally the one to handle this task. I now need you to handle this task because you're the oldest and you need to step up a little bit more and just show that responsibility, and showing them how to do it, taking the time to do that. It's forced me to be very, very intentional with the time that I have, because every minute of wasted time is time I'm not going to get back, and I can't afford to waste time. Well, a couple different ways. One of the first things that anyone will tell you, one of the first techniques you could do just to calm the inner voice.
Right.
The first thing you could do is close your eyes. As simple as that. What's interesting about the mind is your brain is a supercomputer, right? It's running on electricity. You can measure it with an EEG. You can see the brain waves doing like this, right?
Yeah.
You can and so what we're in right now, for anyone who's listening or whatever or watching, we're in a beta default brainwave state. Beta is 14 to 30 hertz of measurable activity in the brain. The second you close your eyes, it drops you down to 10. You're at 10 hertz. You're down into alpha now. Just by removing the one sense, you are bringing your mind into an alpha state, because it's now your brain is using the glucose differently. It's using its energy differently. It's the same reason why, like when we're driving somewhere, if we've never been to a certain place and we are looking for an address or a landmark, we turn the radio down, as though turning the radio down somehow makes us see better.
Right.
But what it does is it reallocates the resources so that our brain can focus on what needs to be focused on. So what I tell everybody, if they're in a moment of high stress or crisis, the first thing we do is we just close our eyes for 15 seconds. I just give them 15 seconds. Say, close your eyes and slowly count to 15. And when they open their eyes, the crisis feels less burdensome. So that is like a very first step. That instantly brings you down in the brain activity, which reduces the stress, which reduces the heart rate, which lets you then get to a place where you can now function and think more clearly.
Welcome to Dadpuzzles. Today, I'm joined by a special guest, Tommy. Tommy, please take it on. I want you to introduce yourself, my friend, and tell people a little bit about you so we can know more about you.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Tommy G. I'm the Hockeytown Hypnotist. I work a lot with athletes, with people in setting their minds in the right frame so that they can put the right amount of focus into what they're doing. And I talk a lot about athletes and working with them on getting into flow states and working through injuries and pain, recovery, and recovering from failure and things like that.
Right.
And those same principles work for everybody. They don't just work for athletes. It's, you think about your frame of mind, it influences every single piece of your life. So that's my specialty is working with the mind as a hypnotist. I've been doing it for 20 years. Mm-hmm. I'm a father of 6. My 6th was just born 4 weeks ago. It'll be 4 weeks on Wednesday.
Oh, man. Congratulations. Yes, sir.
And thank you. And so I have 6 ages 10 and under. It's a party. Right. It's a great time, though. And I am also, and we'll talk about it, but I am the secretary of the Tom Silver Foundation. I'm also their hypnotherapy program director. So doing a lot of certifications for medical doctors, for neurologists, for hypnotists, psychiatrists, anybody who is interested in the mind. We do a lot of scientific hypnosis certifications and things like that.
Amazing. So with that busy career and also busy home, how do you, how has that shaped your mindset in approaching the wellness and also just raising your family?
It's done a lot. It's forced me. I'm very much the kind of person who I just do things, right? I don't ask for help as often as I should. I just kind of jump in and off I go. I'm gonna handle the dishes. I'm gonna handle the cooking. I'm gonna handle the cleaning. It just needs to be done. I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. And it's forced me doing all of this and having all these kids and my wife needing help and all of that. It's forced me to slow down. Okay. To then be able to speed up. It's forced me to think about how I'm training the kids, right? How am I having them be involved in the daily things that not just their own chores, but the things that I need done too, in order to make this a success. So things from, hey, I'm normally the one to handle this task. I now need you to handle this task because you're the oldest and you need to step up a little bit more and just show that responsibility, and showing them how to do it, taking the time to do that. It's forced me to be very, very intentional with the time that I have, because every minute of wasted time is time I'm not going to get back, and I can't afford to waste time.
That is true, my friend. That is true. So I'm sure, like with what you're doing, from training athletes to certifying hypnotists and also just being a father, I'm sure you went through some mental hurdles. How do you teach people to really break theirs as well?
Well, a couple different ways. One of the first things that anyone will tell you, one of the first techniques you could do just to calm the inner voice. Right. The first thing you could do is close your eyes. As simple as that. What's interesting about the mind is your brain is a supercomputer, right? It's running on electricity. You can measure it with an EEG. You can see the brain waves doing like this, right? Yeah. You can, and so what we're in right now, for anyone who's listening or whatever or watching, we're in a beta default brainwave state. Beta is 14 to 30 hertz of measurable activity in the brain. The second you close your eyes, it drops you down to 10. You're at 10 hertz. You're down into alpha now. Just by removing the one sense, you are bringing your mind into an alpha state, because it's now your brain is using the glucose differently. It's using its energy differently. It's the same reason why, like when we're driving somewhere, if we've never been to a certain place and we are looking for an address or a landmark, we turn the radio down, as though turning the radio down somehow makes us see better. Right. But what it does is it reallocates the resources so that our brain can focus on what needs to be focused on. So what I tell everybody, if they're in a moment of high stress or crisis, the first thing we do is we just close our eyes for 15 seconds. I just give them 15 seconds, say, close your eyes and slowly count to 15. And when they open their eyes, the crisis feels less burdensome. So that is like a very first step. That instantly brings you down in the brain activity, which reduces the stress, which reduces the heart rate, which lets you then get to a place where you can now function and think more clearly.
Powerful. So this is about the flow state, correct?
For anything. But if you are in a high stress situation and you want to take control of your thoughts and not feel like you are a victim to your thoughts, the first thing you can do, the best thing you can do first is just close your eyes.
Powerful, my friend. So, and also, so what about the entrepreneur journey? Because, you're also a businessman. So, what else have you, from your experience in terms of the business, like the entrepreneur journey that you have overcome and you're trying to teach your students or people that you're mentoring to really to pay attention on that so they can do better?
Ask me that again. So I just want to make sure I understand the question.
Absolutely. So we have spoken about if you have the overwhelm and or people try to achieve their flow state. I think this is a great advice about closing their eyes. And now, what about, let's say, in terms of business, as an entrepreneur, you have gone through hurdles, right? So how do you teach the people that you're mentoring or the students that you're teaching where they're going to become their own certified hypnotists? I'm sure, is there something that you always make sure that you leave that with them so that they can be successful in their businesses?
What I always tell people is the words you tell yourself are creating the house you live in. So if you tell yourself, there's a very famous quote attributed to Henry Ford. He said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Absolutely.
And that's true because the mind is designed to filter information based on what we tell it. We are the very first input source for our minds, the way we process things. And so what I always tell people, if I'm certifying a hypnotist, I'm going to tell them, don't think, I'm not going to say the word don't, but I'm going to say, think of yourself as the hypnotist. You're not a hypnotist. You are the hypnotist. That one word changes everything. A means I'm one of many. Means this isn't that special. Means there are others who can do what I do. When I say I'm the hypnotist, it says I'm the guy.
Right.
I've got this.
Right.
I can do this. And when you start to tell yourself that, when you say that out loud to other people, it changes you inside. It changes the way that you look at yourself, and you begin to see the successes unfold before they actually unfold. So essentially setting your mindset to branding yourself for the success you want to see. Not lying to yourself, but branding yourself for the success you want to see. It's the same reason I always say when anyone asks me how I'm doing, I say, every day's a good day. That's my response. It doesn't answer the question. How are you? Every day's a good day. Doesn't answer the question. What it does is it tells my brain to focus on the good things that are happening in that day. And it also trains that person to think, oh, yeah, every day is a good day. And start to think about the goodness. And so it spreads that way.
There you go.
And it's not lying.
Yes, sir.
That's the important thing.
Right. I think that's where your coach hat, you're making that impact not only to yourself but also to the person that is asking you.
Yeah,
Powerful.
exactly.
Powerful, my friend. Sir, so here we are so big about legacy. So what do you think down the road that your kids will say about you in terms of what they have learned, whether it's wellness or business or like mindset?
I think a couple things. It's going to be that we're our family is very faith oriented, and so it's going to be putting our faith in in our faith, right, and in our Lord. But it's also going to be living in oneness with yourself, not being disintegrated, but being integrated. Because if you are one way with one group of people and another way with another group of people, you are not being yourself. You're not being your true self. When you allow yourself to simply be you with everybody, you may turn some people off of you, and that's okay. Those aren't your people.
Right.
You will find your people very quickly by being yourself and valuing yourself that way. If you're trying to be somebody else all the time, you don't know who you are. And so I think my legacy for them is going to be being yourself. I'm a weird guy. I got weird hair. I love it. I think it's great. Some people look at me and go, really? And that's okay. They're not my people.
Right.
and so I am authentically me with everybody I meet. And what that does is it allows me to create a genuine bond with people, a genuine formation of friendship and relationship with people. You know, if I was someone different to my wife, it's, I mean, yes, I'm different in some way, right? But if I, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
if I'm a different personality with all these different groups,
Right.
the core of me needs to be the same all the time. Now, I'm not going to talk to my wife like I would talk to my children, but I am the same person. It's not like flipping a switch. It's just I'm going to communicate differently to her. So I'm the same person. I think the integration is the biggest component of what they're going to take away and hopefully continue on for themselves.
Oh, that's powerful. And so what one of my coach, my speaker coach, he was inspired by one of the gentlemen from the Survivor show to grow his hair. What was your inspiration to growing your hair, my friend?
All right, so my cousin Frankie had hair like mine. He has locks. He had them a few years before I did, and I wasn't really a big fan of the look. Just in general, I always thought they were kind of cool on some people, but I didn't think I could pull it off. And I took American Sign Language. I was going to be an interpreter for the deaf at one point. And in one of the courses, I had to do a skit, and I was portraying a zombie. I had long hair because I was the rock star. I was always in rock bands and stuff, so I had the long hair, the Kurt Cobain look kind of thing. And so I backcombed my hair, like I ratted up my hair for this zombie look in this little skit that we did, and it looked a little bit like dreadlocks. And so I sent a picture to my wife. I was like, hey, could I pull off dreadlocks? Just kind of joking. And she wrote ... Oh my God, yes.
That's it.
And I was like, well, she's smarter than me, so I'm going to do it. And we did it, and no regrets. I chopped them off at one point for charity, and then I was like, oh, that was a mistake. I grew them right back.
Amazing, brother. Amazing. So, boss, I know there's so much going on with you, but can you tell us a little bit about this foundation? I'm sure people, that they will be happy to know more about it.
Yeah, the Tom Silver Foundation. You can actually check it out. It's tomsilverfoundation.org, spelled exactly as it sounds. TOM for Tom, silver for the color silver, foundation is the word, .org. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Tom Silver was my mentor, one of my mentors. I had two. Michael Brody is the one who got me into hypnosis and taught me all those 20 years ago. Amazing guy. Does a lot of comedy stage shows. He's incredible to watch. Excuse me. And then Tom Silver, I met actually just this year. It was the beginning of the year. And but he was a legend in the world of hypnosis. He was a very world famous hypnotist. He had TV shows. He was on all the talk shows. He was the one going all over the world, working with world governments even on doing he worked in Asia doing interrogations so that they wouldn't be doing torture, but they would be getting better information by using hypnosis. So instead of torturing people to get information, he was hypnotizing them, and it was far more humane. And so he was doing a lot of great work like that. Well, he became a fast friend and mentor of mine back in January, and passed away in May of cancer. And his wife and I became friends as well. And another friend of ours, Israel Mandrake, who's an amazing mentalist. But we in conjunction with Suzanne, who's Tom's wife, and Mariah, his daughter, stepdaughter, but daughter, we formed the Tom Silver Foundation as a means of continuing his legacy of promoting the science that backs up hypnosis, because it is a scientifically, medically proven state that your brain goes into on a daily basis. Everybody goes through hypnosis on a daily basis. You just don't generally call it hypnosis.
Right.
It's that brainwave frequency thing like we talked about, the alpha waves, right?
Right.
That shutting off the senses, lowering you down into theta, lowering you down into delta, and all of those things. It's all part of hypnosis, and it's medically proven. They've done studies all throughout Harvard and all these big universities, and then it's just kind of left alone and dropped because you can't make a whole lot of money if you can't sell a prescription. And so, but I digress. So we are working on a couple of different things. So we are working on continuing his legacy in promoting the science of hypnosis to the medical community and sharing that it is far more effective in a lot of ways, even than the pills that they're pushing. I have personally found that I can take away people's pain in 10 minutes or thereabouts, and the pain is gone for the entire day, if not longer, and it doesn't impact their kidneys in a bad way by popping a pill, and it just takes a couple of minutes. I do that for free. I do free pain relief in the name of the Tom Silver Foundation, so anybody can reach out to me anytime, and I will work with them for free. Also, we are looking to do free services to those underserved communities. We're currently working with veterans organizations so that we can help them with their pain. A lot of veterans have chronic pain due to the time in the service, and they're struggling with addiction oftentimes to combat the pain. And so if we can get them pain-free, then it helps with the addiction. It helps with some of the PTSD. And so we're looking to get some of those things under control for that community at no cost to the veterans who are getting the service. And we're doing that in a few different ways. Donations is one way. People paying us for services and certifications, because I do the certifications. I'm the hypnotherapy program director, so I do all of the certifications. I'm currently the one doing all of the hypnotherapy, and one other person, Israel, is also doing hypnotherapy, and I'm overseeing the process of it. And we are looking to just get these people who desperately need help, who are enslaved to this addiction, to their pain in their bodies, to their limiting mindsets, and breaking them free of it so that they can then live a life fulfilled instead of like so many out on the streets. Because Tom used to do that for people. A lot of people didn't realize he was working with celebrities. He was working as their hypnotherapist, and he would charge the celebrities, but then you'd get the random guy who was just hard up on his luck, drunk, like alcoholic individuals, and people suffering with cocaine addictions and things like that. They'd come in and they couldn't afford him because he was premium. They couldn't afford his services, and so they'd come in and say, when what does it cost so I can plan for this, so I can save for this? And he would just say, sit there, let's do this now, don't worry about it. And he would just help people because that was his heart. Right. He was a giving guy. And so we want to do that exact same thing. And unfortunately, when you've got mouths to feed, you can't do all of it for free all the time. However, with the foundation, it gives us the opportunity for those who have means to donate, to supply a great mission, to help people break free. And then we can do the good work that Tom was doing and continue that legacy and set some people free.
Absolutely. Powerful, my friend. I also see, like online, a lot of times, I'm sure most of our listeners, they have seen some programs like Mind Valley, and how it's been helpful to like so many people. Is that something, can you educate a little bit about that? Like somebody that is doing the same thing like you, probably, pretty much, correct?
Well, so I'm not very familiar with Mind Valley. I've heard of it. I haven't really looked into what they do. Mm-hmm. I do know that I've been contacted by several hypnotists who have been certified through other organizations, many of which are very script-based. So if you know anything about hypnosis, a lot of hypnotists will read off of a script. And they're trained in a certain way of doing it, and how do you change the script so it fits this person and whatever else. And I'm not saying that there's no benefit to using a script, especially when you're first starting out. Right. But what I teach is not Tom did not teach to read a script, and I did not learn reading a script, and I do not teach reading a script. I teach being in the moment organically. When I hypnotize somebody, when I'm working with a client, I am in it with them, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's in person. If you ever see me do it, you'll see, unless I'm on stage doing a show, that's a totally different ballgame. But if I'm hypnotizing somebody, I am dropped down like this with them. My eyes are closed. I'm talking through it, but I'm visualizing everything that I'm asking them to visualize. I'm experiencing in my body everything I'm asking them to experience. I am going through it with them because it allows for a better pacing. It allows for me to get a better feel for what they might be experiencing. And I'm sharing out loud. I'll say, I'd like you to visualize this now. And for me, what I see is this. You may see something else. And here's what's going on. And I get into it that way. And again, I'm not knocking people who use scripts. I understand their purpose. This is not meant to be a dig at anybody. But this is far more effective.
Perfect. Because
it's customized, it's directly with the person. So what they get out of a program like this, and there are other ones that do this as well. I'm not saying I believe it's the best one. Tom Silver was incredible, but and I teach it exactly in his format, but with his manual. But when it comes to what we offer that's different is we take techniques that were used to hypnotize large groups very quickly, and we've tailored them into hypnotizing individuals as well. And it makes so that the hypnosis, the state itself is amplified. The receptivity that happens in the brain is amplified far beyond anything I've ever seen anybody else doing. And it's much quicker. It's just all around. We're taking a lot of the techniques used from the stage, putting them into a hypnotherapy setting, and we're finding incredible results. There's a reason that Tom Silver, in the world of hypnosis, pretty much everybody knows that name.
Right.
And it's because his methods were so incredibly impactful. So if you go through our program, you're going to learn a lot about incorporating use of the body in your sessions, incorporating a lot of different techniques and styles all together in one, and how to be in the moment with the client instead of having to have a script prepared, because when you are having to use a script, you're limited by that script. And so I want it to be, if something comes up we didn't talk about, previously in our consultation, I want to be able to address that in the moment. And I want to prepare anybody who works with me and gets certified through me to be prepared for that exact same thing.
Powerful. My friend, this is really powerful, and I'm glad that you're sharing that this is not only for the athletes and entrepreneurs or folks fighting addiction, but I think it's also going to be helpful to any parents that's being overwhelmed, is going through things, students, correct?
Yeah, think about parenting. One of the hardest things we deal with is it's so difficult sometimes to be patient with our kids. And I had a client recently who hired me specifically because she wanted to be more patient with her kids and present with her kids. And we worked together, we did a few sessions, and she ended up seeing her kids in a completely different light. A lot of times as parents, we lose that childhood quality to ourselves, that curiosity that kids have. And if we can bring that back within ourselves, and we can approach our kids with a mindset of, I was once a child, then we get a better result from them. I don't really yell at my kids pretty much ever. I've yelled a couple of times. Honestly, I can probably count on two hands in all the 10 years how many times I've yelled at them. Right. Actually yelled. I've never spanked or hit my kids. We don't really do punishments that are traditional punishments, and we don't really need to. And a lot of that, thankfully, because through my wife, we approach everything with curiosity with them, and we explore things with them. And it has made a profound impact on my life, not just as a father, but definitely as a father.
Absolutely. Oh, this is amazing, and it's so amazing when you redirect the situation, from one situation that we have now to, oh, by the way, what about the others, like the other options if they're having these tantrums about getting something, Yeah. So parents, they have a lot of skills. I truly admire what parents are going through, and that's why I have decided to really help out parents, especially that are going, that are trying to do the entrepreneurship by themselves. They have left their 9 to 5, and sometimes their business is not really working. So I'm in that, because I want to make sure that we carry forward our legacy to the next generations.
Absolutely, 100%.
My friend, I look forward to introducing you to Dana. I've spoken to her as well. I haven't produced the episode because there's a back. I have so many of them, and like I'm waiting on the editor to make things work. But
Yeah.
you two will be amazing to like know each other, and I hope we can continue to support each other in this work, and please continue to making the difference in the community.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I look forward to that too. I'm grateful for knowing you.
Awesome, awesome. Likewise, my friend. And now, besides the Tom Silver Foundation, any other ways people can find you, my friend?
Yeah, you can go to hockeytownhypnotist.com. Hockeytown is Detroit, Michigan. So we're the Detroit Red Wings. It was Hockeytown, not so much the last few years, but hopefully it comes back. Yeah, so I'm the Hockeytown Hypnotist. So hockeytownhypnotist.com. You could schedule a free consultation with me there as well. Like I said, I do free pain relief. Just schedule it with me so that I have it on my calendar.
Absolutely.
But I do it for everybody. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you book anything else with me. Just if you're in pain, get with me. I want to help. Wow. And so yeah, you could schedule with me there. Likeahypnotist.com is my other website. That one's geared more toward my comedy shows, my hypnosis shows, which I'm doing fewer and fewer of. I still do them, but I find more pleasure in helping people. So I do a lot more of the hypnotherapy these days, and training these days.
My friend, thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, and we truly appreciate you. And folks, go ahead and subscribe to Dadpuzzles, and also make sure you give a follow to Tommy and all his amazing projects. Until then, keep working hard, keep being the best parents that you are. I know it's not easy, but just remember you got to do the right thing so that your kids can carry forward learning those great things from you. Until then, thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.